Hey, this is Kamori, and today we're going to be working on Morrigan from Darkstalkers, her cross-edge yukata outfit, and I'm going to be working on her hair accessory. So as you can see, it is pink flower, and then it's got these little yellow beads in the center. So what I did was I actually got this floral arrangement from Joann's because it was on super spring sale, so it was actually cheaper to get this little floral arrangement than it would be to actually buy the individual flowers. And I just plucked one off. They're just attached onto a wire, and if you just pull it off, it will pop off. So what I'm going to do is I got these gold fake pearls, and I'm going to hand sew them onto the center of the flower, just using regular needle and thread, hand sewing them on there. Here's the flower with the beads sewn in. To sew them in, I pulled all of the petals down and then sewed the beads to the center petals and just kept layering more and more beads on until they completely covered the internal part of the rose. You can see a little bit of the stitching along the sides, and then when you brush the petals back up, it covers up the stitching. To make the back of the hair ornament, I cut a circle out of felt and then cut a little bit out of the center so that the stem can go through. I then hand sewed 2 hair clips onto it, and I also cut a little notch out of the edge and sewed it together to make a dart so that it has a bit more of a curve to it, to make it fit easier on the flower, like that. Now we're going to make the little pieces that dangle off of her hair ornament. To do this, I took one of the other flowers and I pulled apart from the bottom, and so you end up with this little petally thing like this, and I would just have it hang like that, but the fake flowers are glued together, so there's all this nasty glue residue around it, and it's a little big. So I just took a pair of scissors and cut it into smaller petals, and that way they're a bit more of the size that I needed, and there's no glue. To string everything together, I'm using embroidery floss because it's thicker and I don't have to worry about it snapping as much. So I just used a slightly larger needle, threaded the embroidery floss on there, and I'm using a combination of pink, light pink and dark pink fake pearls. So I knotted one on the end, and that's going to serve as the anchor. And then I'm just going to string everything together onto my embroidery floss. After stringing the beads and the flower petals together, I then just sewed it onto the felt backing. Because felt likes to pull apart so easily, you want to make sure that you sew through a lot of the felt. So just keep going, making a lot of stitches just to make sure that everything is secure. Next, you're going to do the exact same thing and make the second strand and sew it on to the backing as well. After attaching the second strand to the felt backing, I used some super glue to glue the backing onto the rose, and now I'm going to let it dry. After the glue dries, I took a pair of scissors and trimmed down the stem on the back of the rose so it won't poke into the wig. And with that, the hair ornament is done. If you are making Morrigan's counterpart, Lilith, she also has a yukata version for her hair ornament. She has white beads in the center instead of gold, and instead of having the flower petal dangling pieces. She just has one strand of beads. So to do her version, you would just sew the beads around and then attach it to the other side so it dangles as a loop, making sure that it's long enough that you can see it, because the flower petals tend to take up a lot of space.